Okay, so hello everybody. Welcome to the Reviving Indigenous Languages and Education session. My name is Megan and I am a member of the Manitoba Social Sciences Teachers Association Executive Board. First, I would like to acknowledge that as Melanie, Alundra, and myself are all currently located in Winnipeg, that these lands at the junction of the Red and Assiniboine rivers are located on Treaty 1 lands, the original lands of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and on the homeland of the Métis Nation. The Manitoba Social Science Teachers Association respects the treaties that were made on these territories. We acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past, and we dedicate ourselves to move forward in partnership with the Indigenous communities in a spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. With that said, it is my pleasure to introduce the presenters from Indigenous Languages of Manitoba. First, we have Melanie Kennedy. She is a Métis woman from Manitoba with roots in St. Ambroise. She is currently the Executive Director of the Indigenous Languages of Manitoba, an organization who is solely dedicated to the revitalization, retention, promotion, and protection of all Indigenous languages in Manitoba. And we also have Alundra Elder. Alundra is a previous employee of Indigenous Language of Manitoba, and she continues to support the work of the organization. She's a first-year teacher at Southeast Collegiate, a First Nations school, and a component of the Southeast Resource Development Corporation located in Winnipeg. As an educator of Indigenous students, Alundra is committed to truth and reconciliation. Throughout her education, she has worked to get involved with Indigenous communities and organizations to include Indigenous perspectives in the classroom and beyond. All right, so if anybody has any questions, if you want to just pop them in the chat and we can wait until the end and I will ask them to Melanie and Alundra. So all on you now, folks.
Thank you so much, Megan.
Thank you, Megan. Tanche Melanie Kennedy Dijnakashin, Winnipeg Oshtinia Egwa, Winnipeg Niwikin, Almachifnia, Nimietani Wapatama Wow Anush. Good afternoon. My name is Melanie Kennedy. I'm the Executive Director of Indigenous Languages of Manitoba, and I greet you in my Machif language. And I just said how happy I am to see all of you here virtually. And this is Alundra Elder.
Anine, hello. I am Alundra Elder, and I was the program coordinator at Indigenous Languages of Manitoba in summer 2021 and resource developer in summer 2020. Today, we are going to share a presentation on reviving Indigenous languages in education. So we're excited to share a little bit about Indigenous Languages of Manitoba today. We'll be first discussing a little bit about our background, our 4 core areas of focus, and some upcoming projects and initiatives. And we'll leave plenty of time at the end for questions, and we hope you engage with us.
So first, we just want to share that Indigenous Languages of Manitoba was first incorporated in 1985 as the Manitoba Association for Native Languages. Some of the core values that the organization was built on is to revitalize oral histories, promote the daily use of language, and continuing the tradition and sacred teachings of our elders and knowledge keepers. We recognize all mother tongues in Manitoba. The terms that we use are representative of the way that communities would like to be represented. And so we use terms Anishinaabe-Moan, Anishinaabe-Moan, Dakota, Dene, Inanimoan, Inuttitut, and Machif. Our guiding principles, and this guides our everyday work in our projects, in our partners, and in the initiatives that we take on, are first to support our mother tongue speakers and specialists with retention and advancement of Indigenous languages, to lead Indigenous language learning and promotion, as well as to be a resource for communities and places of learning, to collaborate in research into the development and promotion of language learning and revitalization, to promote the full immersion of Indigenous language in everyday personal and professional use, and to respect the cultural integrities of our mother tongue. So this past October I'm sorry, we're just go to the right slide.
Sorry, technical difficulties.
This past October in 2020, the Indigenous Languages of Manitoba Board of Directors and select staff met in order to develop a strategic plan for the organization. Out of that, our vision was identified as to see that every Indigenous person has the opportunity to be fluent in their mother tongue. Our mission is to be the leader in supporting Indigenous peoples to preserve, protect, and advance their mother tongue to ensure that traditional knowledge, history, culture, and values are passed on to future generations. It's important that we share this vision and mission with you because we really want people to know and understand that they have a right to their language, first and foremost, and they have a right to be connected to their culture. And we as an organization do this by creating opportunities that are accessible. So this phrase, our vision, ensures that the work that we do every day leads to this.
Our 4 focus areas are language programming, language and resource development, training and professional development, and translations and documentation. Language programming is quite a broad topic, and we remain open to working with others who share our vision and have the same passion for languages as we do. A lot of the programs that we offer come from those relationships, including our most recent partnerships with the University of Winnipeg, Mazenate Publishing, and Wet'suwet'en Learning Center to develop a 12-episode Anishinaabe-Moan radio drama that involved over 40 speakers from Manitoba and Ontario. There were also accompanying language lessons for learners. We offer free community language classes twice a year in the spring and in the fall. Currently, these classes are provided only in Anishinaabe-Moda and Inanimoan, as it's been easier to access instructors who speak those languages. Anishinaabe-Moan and Inanimoan. However, we are planning to expand our programs to offer Dakota and Michif next year. We also develop online programs and resources. We collaborate with communities to develop their own language strategies, working with these groups to support each other's strengths. We wanted to share our most recent round of classes that we held in partnership with Mamaway Center, which is an organization here in Winnipeg that offers over 50 programs. We collaborated with them to carry out their language classes, and we had a total of 38 sessions, which equals to 76 hours of language instruction. We were thrilled to share that 34 of our students who were able to commit to their learning were able to receive a certificate for the completion of the language programming.
So Indigenous Languages of Manitoba works with communities as well, whether that means Winnipeg or outside of Winnipeg rural areas. And we wanted to share a program that we did in partnership with Anishinaabe Dikinamagawin, which is the People's Teachings, is what that translates to from Anishinaabe-Moan. And they are a Winnipeg-based group. And we developed this program in response to the need for community to connect through COVID-19. The issues where people were feeling incredibly isolated. There was no programming happening at the time because we were all very new to online learning and Zoom. And so we developed this program. Here it says 8 weeks, but we actually extended it 1 week. So it was a total of 9 weeks. And each week shared a different topic. And each week also shared a different language group. So we had speakers from all of our nations come and do an activity, whether it be storytelling or songs and games. And then we ended it with a feast. So we made, as a community, we made over 100 meals. We brought them to the shelter and we closed with a pipe ceremony. This program is actually still able to be accessed on Facebook because we recorded it on Zoom, so you can actually visit the People's Teachings page and to check out that program.
Language speakers and learners of Indigenous languages have worked with us to develop and publish language resources from children's books to language videos. For example, Joyce Noonan, an Ininu woman from God's Lake Narrows and fluent speaker of Ininimuin, has been an integral part of our organization. She wrote an introductory book to learning Ininimuin titled Pe Ininimak Masituin Payak. Following the publishing of that book, we were able to work with fluent speakers in all of the other languages spoken across Manitoba to develop introductory books for all 7 languages. In addition to developing resources, we seek out resources that have already been developed in dialects of our language that are used in Manitoba. We have over 70 books, dictionaries, activity packages, audio clips, and other classroom materials available on our website. We also carry works from Pat Ningawans, Dolores Sand, Doris Pratt, Wilfred Burton, Anne Patton, Mary Cardinal Collins, and many others who are doing the critical work of preserving and advancing Indigenous languages. In this photograph, Linda Anderson, administrative assistant at ILMB, is sharing our collection at the conference in 2018.
Our second core service that we provide is training and professional development. And this is new over the last few years that we've established ongoing professional development. And so we do this 2 times per year. The first session always focuses on helping language speakers to teach the language, because that's something that was identified that a lot of people who are teaching, mostly in communities, don't have training. They're just asked to teach because they speak the language. And so we try to offer at least one professional development that teaches you methodologies, strategies, and project-based learning in order to bring back to your classroom. The second one focuses on a community or organization initiative, such as a language camp, which is shown here in the picture. This is one of our sessions we did a few years back. So it'll focus on an activity as such, like a language camp or immersion program. This picture here in the bottom right is a session that we did that brought together fluent speakers in Anishinaabe, and we had a total of 5 facilitators over the course of 2 days. So Indigenous Languages in Manitoba also offers translation services. We've been doing this for many years since we began, and we still continue a lot of this work. We do mostly documents for government or Indigenous organizations, but we mostly work with communities on developing terminology and signage. So an example of this is the, I'm sure that many of you have visited the Broken Head Wetland Interpretive Trail, and we've actually worked with them to develop the translations of all the plaques that are along the boardwalk. So on top of that, we also work with transcription of oral histories, and we work with community members and elders to document both the language and the cultural activities. This picture here shows us from a video project that we worked on this summer with Elder Verna DeMontney and her sons Stephen and Elvis to record Michif songs about kinship. So some of our projects that we work towards, we're going to talk a little bit now about our annual conference that we did, and we actually just had it a couple weeks ago, and some projects that we've worked on and collaborated with other institutions and organizations. So this is our Honoring Our Languages Conference logo. This was developed 2 years ago, and I think it does a perfectly good job of depicting exactly what the conference is about. So we'll just go to the next slide. I believe it takes a minute for the video to load, but okay. Should be okay. So the Honoring Our Languages Conference began in 2015 with just a small number of participants. I think we had maybe about 50 in total. And the conference was established to simply provide opportunity. At the time, there were not a lot of gatherings. It just gave people the chance to speak their language, share, just be together. And I think it's often forgotten because we are Winnipeg based here, but I think it's often forgotten that our educators work in pretty isolated areas and some that don't have a lot of supports with them. So these opportunities and our conference give that to them. And I think it's crucial for their development as well as, it's beneficial overall to students. So this year we held our conference on October 6th and 7th. This is, we actually had a drone take this footage. And so it's just showing how we had it set up this year just to try to comply with public health. The theme this year was navigating contemporary issues to restore support and strengthen Indigenous languages.
We chose to center our conference around discussions about language through contemporary themes such as truth and reconciliation, climate change, and land-based knowledge. We chose these themes because in order to use the language, we need to speak about relevant issues today.
We had a total of 190 participants and 35 presenters. It was held outside, like I mentioned, to accommodate for public health, but also because we felt that the gathering and all that we talk about in Indigenous education is really connected to that land. And we're just incredibly appreciative of all the connections that we made this year. And it couldn't have gone better. It was really an excellent 2 days.
Apologies.
Zoom. The next initiative that we want to share with you is the Teaching Indigenous Languages program that was done in collaboration with the University of Winnipeg. This program was developed off of 2 years of research that we did with the Manitoba Aboriginal Languages Strategy. The research and the reports identified multiple challenges within our current education system. And from that, we were able to establish short and long-term goals. The intent of this specific program, like I mentioned a little bit before, is that we have many fluent speakers who are teaching because they can teach the language, but they haven't been provided training for that. So they don't know exactly how to teach it. And so the program aims to provide these educators with Indigenous focused training on how to teach the language. And we had, for this pilot model, we had 4 instructors through 4 course modules. And the last module had 2 instructors that worked closely with the students to deliver project-based learning practicum. It was important that all the students felt supported through the program as well as afterwards and through that practicum. This program has now gone through 2 evaluations, one through the University of Winnipeg, and then ILM conducted their own evaluation of the program because it's important any work that we do as an organization is for the benefit of community, and sometimes working with a post-secondary can be challenging. And so we just want to make sure that what we're doing is fulfilling our mandate and not succumbing to any kind of Western, anything Western being imposed on us. So this program is going through its final changes before it goes to Senate. So what will happen is 2 things: that people will be able to take this program through post-secondary, whether they want to teach there or they want to use it for credits to another program like a BEd. But the second piece of it is that because originally it had identified those gaps in the K-12 system, we want to be able to bring this to the communities and offer it in the community, directly taught by the community. And this is where We actually have a community who's interested, and we're hoping to pilot this in the summer of 2022.
The Manitoba Aboriginal Language Strategy was created in 2014 to revitalize, retain, and promote the 7 Indigenous languages of Manitoba. MALS is committed to sharing, developing, promoting Indigenous languages throughout the province. Membership and representatives consist of grandparents from each of the Manitoba Aboriginal language groups and representatives of leaders from First Nations, Inuit and Métis education organizations, provincial school divisions, and post-secondary institutions. A partnership agreement was signed on September 21st, 2015 by 4 lead organizations, including the Indigenous Inclusion Directorate, Manitoba First Nation Education Resource Center, University College of the North, and Indigenous Languages of Manitoba. An agreement we have since renewed in 2018 and 2021. The overall goals of MALS is to ensure we work collaboratively collaboratively. Sorry, that is so embarrassing. Together, reducing duplication and supporting each other's areas of work. We meet multiple times per year and have a path exercise planned to set a new direction with clear objectives for early November.
So just again, we have many on-the-go projects, and we work with communities and organizations to help deliver their programs in development. But I'm just going to note a few here that we are excited to get started on. So we've actually received funding to continue our radio drama. We will actually be doing this in Cree and in Ojibwe, or Anishinaabemowin and Inanimowin. And we're going to have new themes, because the last one focused on a hospital setting following the dramas that happen around a hospital. And so that was what we did the 12 episode one on. This one will focus on a new theme, and we'll have many more speakers for that one. We've also begun work on the video series that will be developed for learners to be able to hear and use the language in context, which is crucially important for learners. So these videos will be around various topics like cooking or outdoor activities, music, song, games, and they're just going to focus on developing that conversation. In addition, each of our videos will be used to develop a lesson plan. So we'll be able to upload the video, and accompanying with it, it will share how you can use this video in your classroom, whether it be inside or outside, but really the possibilities are endless. Then next year, we're going to begin online courses. So currently we offer community classes, but not everybody can attend them. Nobody can attend them regularly, or not everyone can attend them regularly. So we want to offer pre-recorded lessons that you can listen to once. You can listen to them 10 times, whatever helps support your learning. They'll be pre-recorded so you can go back and forth. And they're just instructional videos that help just introduce the language. The lastly is the program that we had talked about with the Teaching Indigenous Languages program through the U of W. We're going to be launching a pilot in a community in the summer of 2022, and this will offer great professional development for our Indigenous educators.
Indigenous Languages of Manitoba is located inside the Manitoba Indigenous Cultural Education Center. We share the space here as our mandates are very similar and language is very intertwined with culture. Does anyone have any questions?
We just sped through that. So lots of time.
Yeah, wow. I can't believe that we're finished and it's only 1:23.
That was awesome. Thank you. Oh, I see we have a question from Jen. Did you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I am a non-speaker who has taken some very introductory classes. And I do have quite a few students in my class who are Anishinaabemowin. I'm wondering how you would suggest I start introducing some very simple language. I teach grade 1, 2 to them. Like, when we teach French, we start with like colors and we start with items in the classroom and words for the people in our lives, which I know in Anishinaabe is a little bit more involved. So where would you suggest to start?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, I'll share when my oldest daughter was she's in French immersion, but her teacher, I suppose, was taking a Cree course, and she actually taught her class a Cree song, which I thought was really special that she was wanting to share that language with her students, even though she is non-Indigenous. That's just something that she started with. But for your classroom, I mean, anything like that, songs, stories, there are a ton of children's books that just introduce that language. And I think that that's a really great place to start, especially if they're younger, in stories and in songs. And if you're really comfortable, you're able to either through our organization, or there's many who do this kind of work too, bring in an elder to come and share with your students. I think would be a really great idea as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that question, Jen. We also had a question in the chat about social media. So does the organization have any social media?
We do. We have a Facebook and Instagram, and our YouTube is what we're going to be utilizing more and more for our videos, which again, you could also use in your classroom because they're incredibly simple terminology that I think will be great for learners. But our YouTube is where we're going to be posting our instructional videos and our video series that's around themes.
Awesome, thank you. And I see Alundra just put some phrases in there for Jen. Awesome. Does anybody else have any other questions?
Oh, TikTok. I've seen that one. Okay, yeah. There's actually a group. So the cultural center that we're in, they have a TikTok. I personally don't know how I feel about it is my personal feelings around sharing the language that way, but I know that they have an account and they share very basic terms on language, and they actually have a bit of a following. So you can absolutely, I think Alundra, you could probably just put it in the chat real quick. You can find them on TikTok. Yeah.
Awesome. Anybody else have any questions?
Plays. What do you mean by plays? Like skits, maybe? Oh, okay. Yes. Actually, that's kind of funny that you mentioned that. So we have a lot of we used to do it. It hasn't happened much more because we've started out with our gathering, but we used to do something called the Language Festival, and these were all recorded. And so we're in the process now of digitizing all of our VHSs and pulling out these plays and skits that were done in all the languages. And so we'll be posting those as well. But I also have a friend of mine who did Fringe this year, and she did a play, and I'll try to share the link in our presentation for when they post it on the website, but it's in Machif. It's called Les Manouches, and she did it for Fringe this year, and it was really well done. So I'll try to make sure it gets included in the presentation for you.
Awesome. Anything else from anyone?
Good. Well, that was so fast. Thank you so much for listening to us. And I hope that, there's something that you've taken away, maybe a way that, you want to connect with us afterwards. We can help you, bring a little bit of our organization into your classroom, or maybe we know of somebody who would benefit from being in there as well. And I hope you'll reach out and get involved with us.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the awesome presentation. I know I sure took away a lot from it. Just like we were talking earlier today during this presentation, all of these, or this presentation that's recorded, will be up on the MISTA website. So I'll just pop that link in the chat if anybody wanted to. Once all of the PD is done, it'll be up there. And Alundra has also put the website link in the chat, as well as the link for the TikTok and some phrases. And I put the link for their YouTube channel in the chat as well. So tons of good resources there. Yeah, is that all that we are going to share today?
Yes, thank you so much for having us, and we're so grateful for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.